Hey guys, it's LEGO Boy Z3. Today I'm going to solve a 3x3 using only OLL algorithms. So today I'm going to be trying out a pretty interesting challenge that's probably also going to be pretty difficult. What I'm going to do is just solve this entire 3x3 from a totally random state using only OLL algorithms. So if you don't know what an OLL algorithm is, well, first of all, this video probably won't make much sense to you, but basically it's an algorithm in a set of cases that's used after you solve the first two layers in order to orient the last layer. That's what OLL stands for, orienting last layer. And so basically something like this, and then you have yellow facing up on all these pieces. Now this is pretty similar to another challenge that I did where I solved the cube using only PLLs, which are used to permute the last layer, like that. But I believe this challenge, which was suggested to me a lot after that last video, will be quite a bit trickier. And the reason for that is after you do a PLL algorithm like this, you know exactly where all the pieces are going to end up. They're always going to end up in the exact same spot, no matter what. But when it comes to an OLL, unless you try out each algorithm on a solved cube, you don't really know how it's going to move the pieces around. So for example, this is an OLL case right here, and all these pieces are in the right spot. As you can see, everyone is solved. These ones just need to be flipped. So if I do the algorithm, it'll orient all the pieces, but we don't really know how it moved those pieces around. They were in the right spot, and now they're kind of all mixed up. But the trick that I found and that I'm going to use for this solve is once you get it into a state like this where all the pieces are in the right spot, they just need to be oriented, you can actually use a special alg that's still technically an OLL, something like this. And these are called pure OLLs, POLL. So you do the algorithm, and it will solve the cube just like that, and it won't move any of these pieces around. It kind of keeps them in the same spot while orienting them. So it's an OLL, but it's kind of a special OLL. So basically my plan is to get the cube into a state like this, where all the pieces are in the right spot, except they just need to be rotated. And then I can use these special OLL algorithms in order to orient all the pieces once they're all in the right spot. Now, how am I going to get them in the right spots? Well, I'm just going to kind of mess around with some normal OLL algorithms that I use real quick and see if I can find some that don't affect too many pieces. So for example, this double headlights case doesn't affect any of the edges. It just moves around these corners and these corners. So maybe that one. And I think if I do a middle layer one like this one will just affect these three edges without affecting any of the corners. So yeah, let's just go ahead and scramble this cube up. I'll use a normal WCA scramble that I've generated over here. Alright, we have it scrambled, so let's just go ahead and get started. Maybe we'll start with the corners, so let's just look around and see if we have any of them solved already. Oh yeah, we have one right here. So maybe let's try and get the one next to it if we can. That one's all the way across the cube, but that's not too hard. We just do our OLL, we do our OLL again, and then we do it one more time. And there we go. Now this one is in the right spot. Now this one's also in the right spot, and this one is too. How convenient. Now it looks like we need to switch this one opposite over to here. So let's do our OLL and then do it again. There we go. Now that one's in the right spot, and it looks like everything is in the right spot. So there could have been a tricky case there, but I think we actually avoided it. I think it's actually kind of like the 3x3 blindfolded parody where the corners and edges kind of get out of sync and you have to do an extra algorithm, which of course I don't really know how to do, but luckily we didn't actually get that case. So let's just go ahead and start with the edges now. So our algorithm switches these three around. I'm not really sure which direction, so let's just go ahead and try it out. Not that direction. Oh wait, this one did get in the right spot. So maybe we'll try and get this one now. Of course, you're not allowed to do an AUF, so like doing a U move at the end of an algorithm, that's not allowed because then you could just call everything an AUF and solve it normally. Anyway, we have these two solved. These two need to be switched kinda, so let's do this. That was not right. This one's in the right spot now. These two need to kind of get in the right spot. Not really sure how to do that. Let's just kind of mess around. This one is almost in the right spot. There we go, that one's right. Looks like we have most of them now, just kind of this half of the cube needs to be finished. So maybe this, I'm not sure what I was doing there. There we go. So let's see, looks like we have 5 edges left, but I'm not really sure how to get this one in the middle layer up onto the top layer where it needs to be. But whatever, let's just try and solve the ones on the top layer and see what happens. That was not right. There we go, that one's in the right spot. Maybe we can turn it around now, like that. Alright, now so it looks like we have these 3 edges to kind of move around and put in the right spots now. Obviously we can't do that with just one OLL algorithm, so maybe we can try around with like switching around these 3 and these 3. I don't know, that might work. Maybe one more time. Now that one's in the right spot, but these 3 now need to be switched, so that's not right. Alright, so I just kind of messed around with those pieces a little bit, as you saw there. Basically, I had like these 3 pieces right here, and what I wanted to do is get them so they were right here. So instead of doing a setup move, which you normally would be able to do, I kind of did a setup algorithm by switching this one around on this side, and then I was able to switch these 3 around, and then I undid the setup algorithm. And it kind of worked out, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I just kind of used some logic. But now we can move on to the pure OLL step, where we just kind of do these OLL algorithms that don't actually move the pieces around, they just kind of orient them. And so maybe we'll start with the corners. So maybe we'll start with these 3 right here and try and find an algorithm that kind of fits these ones. So let's just try out an algon here. So we have r prime, u prime, r, u prime, y, oh gosh, x prime is like that, r2, u prime, r prime, u, L wide prime, and then an AUF to kind of move everything back in the right spot. I think that's allowed. And now we just have 2 corners left. They're on opposite sides. That's kind of inconvenient. Oh, we have 3 of them left actually. So let's just do maybe that algorithm again over here. Alright, so I did that a few times, and it looks like all of our corners are oriented now, so now we can kind of look around the cube. I think there's an algorithm to just switch 2 pieces that are adjacently kind of flipped around like this. So the algorithm goes like this, just like this. And again, I'm not cheating with any of these algorithms. They are technically all OLLs. They're not the OLLs that I use personally, but they all still could be used as OLLs theoretically. They accomplish pretty much the exact same thing. They're just a little bit more complicated to preserve that permutation. So anyway, we can just do this algorithm a couple more times. And now once right here, m prime, u prime, m, u2, m prime, u prime, m prime, u prime, m prime, u2, m, u prime, m2. And now it looks like our cube is completely solved using nothing but OLLs. So that was actually a really fun challenge. It was a little bit more difficult to come up with like a strategy than it was on my PLL video. That one was a little bit more straightforward. But once I kind of came up with that strategy and figured out all the OLL algorithms that I needed to solve it, it actually became a little bit easier than that last challenge. You just pretty much had to permute everything and then orient it. A very simple method actually. So there you go, solving a cube using nothing but OLLs. I definitely would recommend that you try out this challenge, especially if you did kind of follow along with the method that I used there. Or if you didn't follow along, maybe you can come up with your own method, maybe kind of write down what each algorithm does to each of the pieces, and maybe kind of go about it in the same way that I did with my PLL video, starting at the bottom layer and going up to the top. I think that would definitely be possible, but maybe a little bit harder to do. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. That's pretty much all I have for this time, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!